Hold up.
Basic approaches to leadership. So first of all, we will define what is leadership. So leadership, it is the ability to influence a group toward the achievement of goals. And leadership plays a central part in understanding group behavior. There are many definitions of leadership and various theories have been proposed. So, is management the same as leadership? Management includes focusing on planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. So leadership is mainly a part of directing function of management. And management is use of authority inherent in designated formal rank to obtain a compliance from organizational members. Three theories. So three theories of leadership. This is the theories that consider personality, social, physical, or intellectual traits to differentiate leaders from non-leaders. And according to trait leadership theory, effective leaders have a common pattern of personal characteristics that support their ability to mobilize others towards shared vision. These traits include dimensions of personality and motives, sets of skills and capabilities, and behavior in social relationships. Leadership traits has a core trait. First of it is extroversion, second, conscientiousness, third, openness, fourth, emotional intelligence. Extroversion traits. In the Big Five theory of personality, extroversion, often known as extraversion, is one of the 5 core traits believed to make up human personality. Extroversion is characterized by sociability, talkativeness, assertiveness, and excitability. People low in extroversion are not afraid of social situations. Conscientiousness is the personality trait of being careful or diligent. Conscientiousness implies a desire to do a task well and to take obligations to others seriously. Conscientious people tend to be efficient and organized as opposed to easygoing and disorderly. People who tend to be high in the trait of openness are more willing to embrace new things, fresh ideas, and novel experiences. They are open-minded and approach new things with curiosity and tend to seek out novelty. They tend to pursue new adventures, experiences, and creative endeavors. Emotional intelligence, otherwise known as emotional quotient or EQ, is the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. Emotional intelligence. It can increase leadership ability, it can increase team performance, improve decision making, decrease occupational stress, reduce staff turnover, and increase personal well-being. Trait theories has a limitation. Another limitation of trait theories is that they require personal observations of subjective self-reports to measure. requiring individuals to be introspective enough to know their own behavior, while trait theories provide information about how individuals may behave. They do not explain why they may behave this way. And also, the universal traits found that predict leadership in all situations, and clear evidence of the cause and effect of relationship of leadership and traits. Better predictor of the appearance of leadership than distinguishing effective and ineffective leaders. Trait approach. So the trait approach to leadership was one of the earliest theories of leadership. This approach focuses on the personal attributes of leaders such as physical and personality characteristics, competencies, and values. It views leadership solely from the perspective of the individual leader. Example of trait approach is the extraversion, conscientiousness, openness, assumption that leaders are born, goal, selects leaders, problems. Traits do not generalize across situations, better at predicting leader emergence than leader effectiveness. So now, we will tackle about behavioral theories. So behavioral theories of leadership, it is a theories proposing that specific behaviors differentiate leaders from non-leaders. Like for example, in behavioral theory leadership, behaviors of leaders can be taught, but in trait theory, leaders are born, not made. And also behavioral leadership theory argues that the success of a leader is based on their behavior rather than their natural attributes. Behavioral leadership theory involves observing and evaluating a leader's actions and behaviors when they are responding to a specific situation. Behavioral approach. The behavioral approach focuses exclusively on what leaders do and how they act. The central purpose of the behavioral approach is to explain how leaders combine these two kinds of behaviors to influence followers in their efforts to reach a goal. Many studies have been conducted to investigate the behavioral approach, and these are the following: Ohio State Studies for University of Michigan, that initiating structure or production orientation, and it has a consideration, employee orientation. Assumption, leaders can be trained. Goal, develop leaders. Problem, effective behaviors do not generalize across situations. Ohio State Studies. Ohio State University Leadership Study underscores two different behavioral views on leadership: people-oriented consideration and task-oriented initiating structure. So initiating structure, this is where the extent to which a leader is likely to define and structure his or her rule and those of subordinates in the search for goal attainment. And consideration, this is where the extent to which a leader is likely to have a job relationships characterized by mutual trust, respect for subordinates' ideas, and regard for his or her feelings. In initiating structure, it is the extent to which a leader defines leader and group member roles, initiates actions, organizes group activities, and defines how tasks are to be accomplished by the group. This leadership style is task-oriented, while the consideration, it is the extent to which a leader exhibits concern for the welfare of the members of the group, This factor is oriented towards interpersonal relationships, mutual trust, and friendship. This leadership style is people-oriented, looking out for the personal welfare of group members. University of Michigan Studies. The University of Michigan Studies, a series of studies on leadership, were done in Michigan University, starting in the 1950s, under the general direction of Francis Likert. The focus of the Michigan Studies was to determine the principles and methods of leadership that led to productivity and job satisfaction. Employee-oriented. Leader emphasizing in interpersonal relations, taking a personal interest in the needs of employees and accepting individual differences among members. Production-oriented. Leader one who emphasizes technical or task aspects of the job. Contingency theories, or consider the situation. Fiedler contingency model, cognitive resource theory, Hersey and Blanchard's situational leadership model, path goal theory, assumptions underlying the different models. Fiedler leader style is fixed, others leader style can and should be changed. The contingency theory of leadership was proposed by the Australian psychologist Fred Edward Fiedler in his landmark 1964 article, A Contingency Model of Leadership Effectiveness. The contingency theory emphasizes the importance of both the leader's personality and the situations in which that leader operates. And the contingency theory is an organizational theory that claims that there is no best way to organize a corporation, to lead a company, or to make decisions. Instead, the optimal course of action is contingent upon the internal and external situation. Fiedler model. The leader style is fixed, task-oriented versus relationship-oriented. Consider situational favorableness for leader, leader-member relations, task structure, possession power. Key assumptions. Leader must fit situation. Options to accomplish this. Select leader to fit situation. Change situation to fit leader. The Fiedler contingency model was created in the mid-1960s by Fred Fiedler, a scientist who studied the personality and characteristics of leaders. The model states that there is no one best style of leadership. Instead, a leader's effectiveness is based on the situation. The Fiedler's contingency theory of leadership, it states that your effectiveness as a leader is determined by how well your leadership style matches the situation. Fiedler model. The leader. Assumption. Leader style is fixed and can be measured by the least preferred coworker, or LPC question. Least preferred coworker, LPC question. The way in which a leader will evaluate a coworker who is not liked will indicate whether the leader is task or relationship oriented. Fiedler model. Defining the situation. Leader-member relations. The degree of confidence, trust, and respect subordinates have in their leader. Task structure. The degree to which the job assignments are procedurized. Position power. Influence derived from one's formal structural position in the organization. Includes power to hire, fire, discipline, promote and give salary increases. The task structure refers to the degree to which the task is made clear to the employee who has to perform it. Task structure includes the extent to which tasks are defined and have detailed job descriptions and procedures. And positional power is the authority you wield by virtue of your position in the organization's structure and hierarchy. Personal power is your own skill and ability to influence people and events, whether or not you have any formal authority.
Good day. My name is Gella Caseres. So for today, let's talk about the theories related to the basic approaches to leadership. The first theory that I'm going to discuss is the cognitive resource theory. Think about how you respond to stressful situations. In your attempt to alleviate the unpleasant feelings related to stress, you might respond quickly without seeking out the most logical answer. So according to the cognitive resource theory that was developed by Fred Fiedler and Gracia in 1987 as a reconceptualization of the Fiedler contingency model, where it is a theory of leadership that states the level of stress in a situation is what impacts whether a leader's intelligence or experience will be more effective in how they react to stress. Your experience and your intelligence have the tendency to interfere with each other during stressful situations. Certain cognitive factors, such as intelligence and experience, can affect a leadership's ability. The leaders who perform the best are those that use their cognitive abilities to determine the efficient way to lead their groups. Whether or not you should rely on your intelligence or your experience depends on the level of stress that you experience in the situation. In low-stress situations, you should rely on your intelligence, while when you are in a high-stress situations, you should rely on your experience. The research supports that less intelligent individuals perform better in leadership roles under high stress than do more intelligent individuals, while less experienced people perform better in leadership roles under low stress than do more experienced people. The cognitive resource theory has assumptions. The first assumption is, in low-stress situations, leaders who use their intelligence gets the best result. Intelligence is the main factor in situations where the leader is under low stress. The leader uses intelligence to tell people what needs to be done instead of hoping that others will agree with their decisions. Leaders who are more experienced are not challenged in low-stress situations. They also get bored and have a tendency to cut corners. The second assumption is, in high-stress situations, leaders who are more experienced produce more quality results. Situations that do not have rational solutions can be very stressful. In high-stress situations, rational solutions are not always available. Without rational solutions, intelligence does little good and can actually make the situation worse. For example, leaders who rely on intelligence could spend their time closed up in their office over-analyzing the problem and ignoring their group members. In such situations, having previous experiences of the same or similar circumstances allows the reader leaders to react based off of what they learned from the previous experiences without over-analyzing the situation. It follows that the more experienced leader has, the better the leader performs. Leaders who are more directive have better performance when they use their intelligence in settings that are supportive and in low stress. So the next theory that I'm going to discuss is the leader-member exchange theory. Leader-member exchange theory, or also called the vertical dyad linkage theory, which describes how leaders maintain their groups and how they develop relationships with other members that can contribute to growth or hinder development. The model assumes that leadership is measured by means of the level of trust, respect, support, and loyalty. This theory first emerged in the 1970s, where it focuses on the relationship between managers and members of their teams. The goal of the leader-member exchange theory is to explain the effects of leadership on members, teams, and organizations. Leader-member exchange theory claims that the leaders do not treat each subordinate the same. The work-related attitudes and behaviors of the subordinates depend on how they are treated by their leader. Leader-member exchange theory is important to organizations, but it also can cause employee distress when leaders are lack of communication skills. Research has suggested that employee satisfaction of communication with leaders is crucial to employee productivity, job satisfaction, and job performance. The leader-member exchange theory makes the relationship between leadership process and directs the attention to the importance of communication in leadership. So the last theory that I'm going to discuss is the path goal theory. The path goal theory is a theory that states that a leader's behavior is contingent to the satisfaction, motivation, and performance of their employees. This theory is based on specifying a leader's style or behavior that best fits the employee and work environment in order to achieve its goal. So in a simple explanation, path goal theory explains how leaders can help their followers along the path to their goals by selecting specific behaviors that are best suited to followers' needs and to the situation in which followers are working. So the question is, how does path goal theory explains leadership? Path goal theory states that the leader is responsible for providing followers with the information, support, or other resources necessary to achieve their goals. The term path goal denotes that a leader must illuminate the path to the goal and explains how to make the journey successfully to the followers. And effective leaders clarify the path to help their employees achieve its goals and make the journey easier by reducing roadblocks and pitfalls. This theory assumes leaders are flexible and so that they can change their style as situation require. This also emphasizes the importance of the leader's ability to interpret followers' needs accurately and to respond flexibly to the requirements of a situation. The goal of this theory is to increase the employees' motivation, empowerment, and satisfaction so they become productive members of the organization. The path goal manager aims to challenge his or her subordinates with high-level goals in order to garner the highest level of performance from them. He or she encourages its workers by an insistence in the belief that they can handle all he or she expects of them and that the outcome will be positive and beneficial for all. A path goal theory example of this type of leader is who sets sales goods higher every 3 months and leads his employees in ways to achieve this target. The path goal manager believes in the individual skills of its workers and is dedicated to helping one and all to succeed. So that's all about the theories related to the basic approaches to leadership.